We talk about freedom of speech, but freedom of speech is predicated on freedom of thought. And freedom of thought is predicated on knowing how your mind works. If you don't know how your mind works, you're not going to be able to think freely. The liberal arts traditionally were tools that you learned, you acquired, in order for your mind to work properly. So we learned grammar because language is very complicated. The nuances of language are complicated. We learn logic because logic is the grammar of thought. We make a lot of sloppy thinking because of the shackles of our own minds. So we quickly move to hasty generalization. And then finally, rhetoric, which was the art of communicating in the best way what was in your own heart to others. It was the art of persuasion, because in a civil society, you want persuasion with words to be the means by which you govern your society, not persuasion by force. One of the great traditions of our civilization was debate. And part of the debating tradition was you had to learn both sides of the argument and be able to argue both sides with equal force, recognizing that dialectic, which is the secret of Western civilization, is dialectic, recognizing that dialectic is not everything can be resolved, that there are real issues that will remain problematic. But how do we then grapple with that as human beings so that we can live civilly with our differences? I think the biggest challenge that Muslim theology faces, as well as Christian and I would argue Jewish and other theologies, is it faces the challenge of grappling with the incredible advances in science. And historically, theologians were actually scientists. Many of our greatest theologians were scientists. Newton actually, oddly enough, considered himself a theologian before he considered himself a scientist. People don't know that Isaac Newton wrote a commentary on the Bible. And so this divorce of science and religion has really ruptured our society. And so I think that's a real challenge, to find people that have adequate knowledge of modern science as well as deep knowledge of theology, and also vice versa. Finding ways to bridge these things can only be done with philosophy. Philosophy included theology, it included natural science, it included mathematics. These were all branches of philosophia. What we're trying to do is create conversations. So the first edition was about metaphysics, so we begin at the beginning. We've done one on the art of being, on language itself. We've had great writers, theologians, philosophers, major journalists. The response has been really amazing. My hope in terms of Renovatio and anything that I do is trying to restore that childlike understanding of the world, that the world is a marvelous place. The world, it's a terrible place and it's a beautiful place. And I think Dickens nailed it when he said it's the best of times, it was the worst of times. But we have to love the world because it's the only one we have for now. And it really is a stunning place. This is a place where the sun rises every morning and spring comes back. Everything out there is displaying hope constantly. Animals will go looking for water until they find it, but they're looking. And that's the human condition, that we are seekers by nature. And hopefully there's guides on the path that can point towards the right direction.